Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'll tell you where we might be staying at the bottom of the league because West Ham had a terrible afternoon. Boys, I'm going to let you start sort of asking me questions because I'll sit here and I'll
sit here and take it.
Yeah,
well,
but bad day.
Yeah, you faced newly promoted Sunderland, who've signed lots of players this summer. Obviously, you would have been going into that game favourites, even though Sunderland have had a great summer with their business. But 3-0, how do you explain your performance on the weekend? Was it as bad as the scoreline suggests?
Yes. Yeah, it's confusing. It was very confusing starting lineup, very confusing performance. No energy in the side, no urgency, no clue. There was a time when there was a corner and nobody ran over to take the corner for about a minute, and it just nobody knew who was taking the corner. It was odd. It was an odd performance. It was one of them ones where I looked at the performance from Sunderland, and I sat here on Friday and I said they're going to come out the traps quick because that's what a normal promoted team do. They haven't been in the Premier League for a long time. They normally come out the traps quick, try and hit you with 3 or 4 quick goals and really get the crowd up for it. They just sat there and basically just turned around and went, let's see what you got, you know. And that worries me because a newly promoted team coming up from the Premier League that can sit back. And I said to the boys on West Ham Fan TV, I said, the thing that they've done is they've looked at the performances from last year and they've looked at the team and thought, there's nothing in there that weren't in there last year. I bet they're exactly the same. And for a newly promoted team to be sitting there and waiting for you to attack them and basically confident that they can absorb everything you've got, that is worrying. That is worrying. And they played it to a T because we sat there, we done nothing. And every time they got the ball, they tried to counter-attack by doing something different. And then as soon as they found the thing that worked, they done it twice and buried us. And that was it. We had no answers. There's nothing on the bench coming off the bench. The midfield was, I mean, we've got a young boy called Potts out. We're desperate in midfield. I mean, I'm dreading playing Chelsea on Friday with what I just see in the midfield. Because you're talking about Chelsea, and Chelsea, they've got one of the best midfields in the country. And I'm not joking, ours is the worst by far. Unless we do something drastically different, I am dreading it. We will get overrun, we will get overpowered, and we'll end up collapsing like we did there. It was an awful performance. It was an awful managerial decision. It was an awful managerial performance. The only good thing about it was the fans, and the fans stayed with them to the end. But good luck to Sunderland. They've done their homework. It's not hard to do homework against us. You know, it's a couple of simple math equations, and you've passed with flying colours when you're playing us. It looks like you haven't got to do a lot of homework to beat West Ham United at the moment because we do the same thing and it never works. So, yes, poor, and I am concerned. Seriously.
I was looking at the lineup and I'm thinking, this Guido Rodriguez guy, I mean, every time I watch him, he's absolutely shocking. And you've got Edson Alvarez on the bench, right?
Yeah.
Who you said, last stream, he's going to be an important player for you this season.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing you're about to sell him.
To sell him, yeah. But this is the problem, right? We're also about to sell Guido Rodriguez. I don't see why he was playing. We went into a game last year and we had that exact midfield, and it's got no legs in it, And everyone said we obviously lost the game, and everyone said we can never see this midfield again ever. Like this midfield, like if another manager picks that midfield, we must have literally no one left to play. It'd have to be that sort of situation where you see this midfield, and you're starting the first game of the season after a summer transfer window, and you've got that midfield. Sunderland must have been rubbing their hands together. This was perfect for Sunderland, and Sunderland would have seen our performances from last year and would have sat there over the summer hoping that the same West Ham turned up. Because, it's one of them ones where you sit to yourself, we could really upset these here. We could get off to a good start here because they weren't great last year. I know they've got some good players, but if they're not on the ball and they play that midfield, I think we can get the better of that midfield. This is exactly what they've done. And it's concerning, Guido Rodriguez should not be nowhere near a starting lineup in the Premier League, let alone for West Ham, who you expect to be at least mid-table this year. And Go on.
You wouldn't want to go to one of those teams, though, guys. Was it? I like, watching the Leeds game today.
Mate, I'm telling you now. I'm telling you now, Lee. The way they set up there, right? If they'd have set up against anyone else, you'd have beat them. I'm telling you, because they just sat back. If they'd have done that to Tottenham, what I see from Tottenham in the weekend, you'd have hit them for 3 or 4 in the first half because you got that talent in the minute. Done that to Arsenal, I think you would have been 4 or 5-0 up because you got that talent in a minute. West Ham just didn't have the. I mean, we're literally sitting there on the 85th minute. We're 2-0 down, and they're passing it around the back. I really didn't understand.
You've got a front three of Bowen, Paquetá, and Fulkrug.
That's all fucking shite. But then they wasn't even playing that formation. They was playing with Bowen and Fulkrug up top. Paquetá playing behind. Paquetá was poor, and you had Bowen and Fulkrug. I think Fulkrug looked handy, but they was both doing the same job. And because we've got wing backs, bear in mind we're playing Sunderland, yeah. Because we've got wing backs, there's nothing coming into the box. Fulkrug is a box player. You get the ball in the box, he's going to do well. There's nothing coming in. It was odd. It was very odd.
Yeah, well, what I saw from the highlights, it seemed as though unless Bowen was doing something, you pretty much had no one able to create or do anything.
Yeah, it like that. You know what I mean? Like that. And with that midfield, you're gonna struggle again. Big distances between everyone. When we go into the attack, because we're so focused on how bad we are at the back, and I think he's just trying to compensate by just packing it out. When you go forward, you've literally got 3 players, and they're all doing different things. They're not on the same wavelength. And Paquetá's a good player, but if that is how we're going to play with Paquetá, because I've heard a rumor that we set up without Paquetá, and they trained well for the week, the team, and then last minute he decided to put Paquetá back in and completely changed the formation and the way that the team was playing, and that's obviously affected something along the way. Because
was that back three something you playing in pre-season, or just was that new for this game?
It was, and they're all shite. All 3 of them. They're all shite.
Tadebo's supposed to be a really good player. We were really impressed with him before he.
No, you know what? I think he's got it in him, mate. But I think he's playing with another load of shite. The goalkeeper had a fucking awful.
I was going to mention the goalkeeper. You worried about him? I thought goal 1 and goal 3, especially goal 3. That's a bit of a howler.
Yeah, it was a definite howler. Goal 1, maybe you could get, but I thought it was soft. I watched it go in. It looked like it trickled into me. And then people were saying he's not good with his hands. I mean, he's a fucking goalkeeper. If you're not good with his hands, what the fuck are you good at? You know what I mean? So I think Potter's brought him to play the sort of Edson, not the Edson Alvarez, the what the fuck's the fucking Edison, that sort of Allison role where they play with their feet. But I'm not a big fan of that. If you're a goalkeeper, you should be able to use your hands. If you can't use your hands, you should be playing out on field. So I think he's brought him in for that. There was bits of it, early on he made a good save, and there was bits of his kicking that could have been improved. But in whole, he was sort of calm in possession. And as I said, there wasn't an awful lot coming at us. So maybe it was one of them ones where he could have done with a few more touches in the first half. There wasn't a lot coming at him. And, he's fucked the first one up and then he's fucked the third one up. But, in terms of debuts, it is a bit of a nightmare, and we were sitting here last week saying we needed to, replace Areola because of the same thing. And he's just done exactly the same thing. I think he should have kept Areola in for the first game, to be quite honest with you. I think he should be giving a goalkeeper at least a chance to fight for his place, because we do know Areola's a good goalkeeper. But he's made a few mistakes. If you don't give a geezer a chance to fight for his to fight for his place, I think you at least at least give him the first game when you've just got the geezer in the week before. But it is odd choices, in my opinion.
But Nicky, I said to you when we did our first stream, with Potter, the form he ended the season on last season, if he gets off to a bad start, are people going to start to question him? And you said no, but I watched your video, and you are already starting to question him.
No, I've got to, because the problem is with that there is that I know he hasn't got a lot to work with at the minute, but there is better there to work with. There is better options there to work with, and the why you would come in and pick a player that is going to be going next week to be starting over a young kid that you're hoping to bed in for the future. We've played him all pre-season, this kid, and he never put him in. He never even put him on. You know, and I find that odd because he also played Irving, who's meant to be going to Celtic. I find that very strange. And when you get to a point of that, you've got to start to question, like, what are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. Like, if a player's going, it's not like he's, you know, it's not like he's a geezer that's been with us 10 years and he's saying goodbye to the fans. This is a geezer that no one fucking wants to see in the midfield. And he's putting him as a starter in the middle. It's odd. It's strange. And then when you start to do things like that as a manager, you've got to start questioning him. What the fuck's he doing?
The worrying thing, Nick, is that as you said, you got Chelsea on Friday, you know, and then Nottingham Forest away the following week. And then it's obviously the international break. If you was to lose at Chelsea at home, you know, that Forest game, you know what I mean? Like, that's going to put a lot of pressure on, I'd imagine. Like,
we're nowhere near Forest either, mate. I'm going to be honest. We're nowhere near Forest. Forest are making moves again.
I thought they was brilliant what I see of them yesterday, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you think they're in a relegation battle, Nicky?
Absolutely.
Really? Absolutely. No, not even a question?
I don't think it's a question, no. Unless something drastic happens in the next couple of weeks and we bring in at least 2 very good players, I can't see how we how we're not in a relegation battle.
Do you think there are 3 worse teams than you?
No.
No. Really?
No, you think we're going down?
No,
it's only been 1 game.
I know it's been 1 game, mate. And as I say, it's early to judge, but you're asking me a question. Is there 3 worse teams than you? I can't see 3 worse teams than us. I can't. You know, I thought Burnley are going to be the worst. Mm-hmm. But we're down there. We are down there in terms of, you know, unless something drastic happens in the next couple of weeks and we get a couple of superstars in. Now, we need to be looking at a couple of these kids in our academy and hoping that, you know, there's a couple of them that really start to, you know, propel themselves into the first team, because the players that we've got, I don't think are good enough.
I'll just look at
you know, having said by the players that you've got, right, that are not good enough, then does it rely on Potter, or does he need to get more out of them, or does the board?
Well,
is it rely on the board?
More out of them, as I said before, a baffling choice on Monday, and you know, and I did say this about Potter as well, and I was having this sort of discussion on a calling show I done earlier, and we were saying about, is it Potter, and people saying you're letting the board off, and I'm like, if Potter has come in and the board have told him lies and they're not giving him what he wants, wouldn't he just be better to just quit? He would just quit, wouldn't he? Well, he's not going to do that, no. But I'm just saying, like, he would be better for his reputation to just quit. I said this, if you go and work for a company and they said to you, like, you know, you're a carpenter and you've got this beautiful workshop and you've got all this space and you've got all these benches and you've got all these top tools, and then you go into work and you're working in a shed and using fucking the back end of a screwdriver as an hammer, you're not going to be able to do the work, are you? So what would you rather do? Give them substandard shit that you're pumping out, or just turn around and go, you know what, this ain't what he fucking said was in here. This ain't what he said was available to me, and I'll just walk away. Because I would. That's exactly what I would do, because that is going to be. I think David Moyes was, I think David Moyes is a very good manager, but I think he was a little bit, guilty of that when he went to Sunderland and then went to Spain. I think he got promised things that weren't there and he couldn't do anything, and I think his reputation was highly damaged. You're more likely not to get a job by sticking around and fucking, trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit than you are, just walking away into like Lopetegui did, and like going in there and saying, well, you told me I had 50 fucking million pounds to spend and you ain't giving me nothing. I'm walking away. I can't do it like this, it's my reputation on the line. But yeah, I'm very worried. I am very worried.
Just looking at the fourth game back, the first game back after the international break is Spurs.
Yeah, we know who it is, Lee. Oh,
yeah. Pretty prime Barcelona for that one. No,
yeah, exactly.
Got to get your ass together.
Mohamed Kudus back in East London.
Yeah.
5:30 kickoff. I've just seen it there. Like, I might tune in for that one, Nick. Boy,
it's going to be interesting, that one.
Yeah, he was prominent in the away end. I saw there was a video doing the rounds of all the West Ham fans shouting things at the TV when he came on and he was warming up on Sky Sports. A lot of West Ham fans saying things we can't say on YouTube.
What was you doing when Sol Campbell went out to warm up for Arsenal? Was you applauding him?
We don't mention that name.
Oh, but you know what? You say that, Nicky. When I brought up, is this bad as Sol Campbell? You said it wasn't. You said it wasn't a big deal.
It's not. But if a guy, is sticks the boot into you every time he gets a chance, I mean, at the end of the day, he's in England because of us.
Oh, listen, it does.
Paid a lot of money for him.
Man United fans give it with the Robin Van Persie thing, like to us all the time. Like, you don't. It's not nice, is it? Like when one of the players go, you know what I mean? Like, like there's a little bit more needle between West Ham and Arsenal now than there's ever been because of the Declan Rice thing. Like, so you don't really want to see one of your rivals take one of your players, and but it's happened with Kudus, and at this moment in time, he's doing well, isn't he? Like, I mean, and that's going to rile up the West Ham fans even more, like, So I
don't think quite
when he comes down here.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Yeah, I think that's the least he deserves. I think it's the way he stuck his boot in. We never treated Kudus badly, in terms of the fan base. We never turned on Kudus. Kudus turned on us. He stopped turning up, and that's unforgivable. When you're going to listen, we're going to talk about whether we're rivals and all that. At the moment, we're not fucking rivals. We're nowhere near each other. Let's be honest. But I'm just saying, when you're going to a rival and you're sticking the boot in to your fans and your fan base at every opportunity just to get yourself off to a good thing. When we didn't stop turning up for you, mate, you stopped turning up for us. We were supporting you all the way. You're the one that stopped playing fucking football. It just is. It does sting a little bit. It does sting. He had a very good game the weekend. I think you're getting a bit overexcited, to be honest with you, because I never said that he wasn't going to turn up for the first game. I'm just saying he won't be good by the fucking end of it, So I thought you got a bit overexcited over him. I heard all the songs in the concourse, can't start a fire without a spark. Mohammed Kudus, he hates the team from Upton Park. Yeah, we've heard them all, yeah.
Come on. You know the lyrics quite well off by heart. Not bad, Nicky.
He's watched it over and over again.
It's not hard. They're not hard lyrics to fucking remember, are they? Come on.
I didn't remember them. You've seen them all the me. You sing it more than me.
So Spurs enjoy rubbing it in. Spurs enjoy rubbing it in then. Right,
Oh, yeah. Until they accuse us of it being our cup final when we're simple, whatever.
Nick, what do you reckon about the prospect of West Ham going down and Spurs signing Jared Bowen? You reckon that's a possibility?
Jared wouldn't go there. I don't think his father-in-law would let him go there.
He'd have to get divorced.
Yeah. No, who fucking knows? To be at this point, I don't know. You could sign him in January. The way our chairman is. But
yeah, I'm just going because last time you went down, the last couple of times you went down.
It's true. You got your best player both times, I think.
Defoe.
Yeah, they've always took players off of West Ham.
Carrick. Yeah, Carrick, Defoe.
Canute. Got previous.
Canute was top.
Canute.
You know what? He's one of the players I missed the most, man, because we signed him and then we went down the season after. But I thought Canute was one of my favourite players when we played. When we had him, he was fucking quality. He can trap a cannonball on his chest, that geezer. Honestly.
Yeah, we let him go too early as well.
Yeah. Sevilla got the best out of him, that's for sure. But
yeah.
Did Callum Wilson come on? Did you have to pay your $90 grand a week?
Yeah, he did as it happened. I bet Sullivan was screaming. But yeah, he did as it happened. So yeah. 100 grand in the bank for an header.
He must have already get 5 minutes. He's like, all right, I need to get on. He's always banging on. Get me on.
To be fair, he put himself about a bit. He was trying. I think he was trying to rile people up, and he probably had the best chance of the half. We had one shot in the second half, and that was his. And header, and a very good save. But yeah, it's shite. To be honest, right? Let's move on to Tottenham. Then let's get around to Tottenham.
The predictions. Nobody predicted a Sunderland win. I'll tell you that. Nobody.
No, I think we all said. I said 2-1. That's for sure. Let me check.
Yeah,
what we
Lee
all said.
said 1-1.
1-1 Lee. So Lee was the closest. Ben said 2-2. So he's pretty close. 2-0 said Sim, 2-1 said me, and 2-1 said Nini. So no one got a point for that.
Giving
one.
West Ham way
Sim
too much
had the-
credit. We gave him way too
Sim
much
had
credit.
the most
Yeah.
convincing West Ham win out of everyone.
I really thought I thought you'd be more settled at this point. I thought you'd be at least look like a team.
Now
But
it's shit.
underestimated it.
Yeah,
Overestimated it. Completely overestimated West Ham.
I think like it was all. I did say that was always going to be a tough game for West Ham Sunderland. They was going to be up for it. I remember going up there a few years back when Robert Perez, well, more than a few years ago now, when Robert Perez made his debut. He was on the bench, and it was a tough place, and they was the atmosphere. Because that's the thing. I think that they're buoyant, and the fans. You know what I mean? It's the first game. You know what I mean?
They weren't, no, Lee. They was very quiet to start
Really?
with. They was quite nervous. Yeah, it was weird. They didn't start livening up really until they scored. And I just think it was like.
So you had the opportunity to nail it, and you didn't.
Absolutely. The opportunity. If we'd have put our asses in gear in the first half, if we'd have had someone sort of like running the cogs in the midfield, we could have scored a couple of goals, and that would have been it. There would have been no way back. But we didn't, and we haven't got it. That's the most worrying thing. That it wasn't like you're coming out against the wall of noise. They was very, very quiet.